What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at Dead Season, a TRPG set in a zombie apocalypse, of course, with this one being inspired by the likes of XCOM and perhaps more aptly, Dead State. Now, what I'm bringing to show you here today is actually a demo that is, I believe, going public around the time this video launches, so it should be available for you to play if you want to check this out for yourself. And I believe it is also taking part in the June Steam Next Fest, which starts on June 10th, where there's a bunch of demos out and available for people, and the publisher for this one, Iceberg Interactive, reached out and asked if I wanted to take a look at it as I play a great many TRPGs. But the reason I decided to make a video on it specifically is its focus more on survival rather than winning fights. As you might expect from a zombie apocalypse, you're going to be greatly outnumbered, and thus a lot of the missions are more about making it through something rather than managing to kill all the enemies. Or at least that's the case for the missions I personally played through, because when it comes to this demo, it states that the core gameplay is pretty much in place. However, they have yet to do a final balance pass and optimization, so things like numbers and whatnot are subject to change, of course. But broadly speaking, it looks like what's in the game gameplay-wise is pretty much where it's going to land. Which makes sense, as this particular title happens to be made by a single developer, from what I understand, and the final version's going to have around 16 missions. And I think as long as the price isn't outrageous, that might not be so bad of a deal, given what I've experienced here in this demo at least. So let's talk a little bit about what to expect. So right away when you fire the game up, you'll have a quick difficulty option selection, which is just simple, easy, normal, hard, basically, which determines the number of times you're allowed to save per mission, and of course how dangerous individual zombies are. After that, the game throws you into the role of one of our 4 survivors, Travis, who is escaping from a horde of zombies. Now, story-wise, this demo didn't really explain much, though I would also say that it's not necessarily super important, as I'm pretty sure we can all guess how the zombie apocalypse started in any given franchise. But in any event, escaping from this initial group of zombies serves as your tutorial, explaining the basics of the game, such as not needing to fight everything and using your 4 actions per turn to do things like move, attack, or simply board up doors and the like if you have the tools to do so, before introducing you to your other 3 party members. And then the next couple of missions explain some of the basics of the game that we'll be messing around with, such as using our characters to scavenge the environment for new types of weapons or other useful items such as pills to heal you up, tools, as I mentioned, to do things like barricade those doors, etc. So there's a decent amount of scavenging involved, but mostly you're going to be trying to avoid the zombies because they greatly outnumber you. And one of the ways the game handles that is with a noise meter. Many things you do cause some amount of noise, and making too much noise all at once will call down a zombie horde on you, as the game explains in the first mission. As you near the exit, a body falls on a car, setting off, of course, the car alarm, which then suddenly draws in tons of zombies and enrages them, giving them extra movement speed and the ability to track you down pretty quickly, which is one of the ways the game adds a little bit of tension. Now, a couple other things to note beyond the basics are that as your party gets hit or any of your party members go down, the rest of your party will start to panic, which reduces their chance to hit, which at least in this demo appears to be a little low. I'd be surprised if this isn't part of the balance passes that I mentioned, as your individual chance to hit is quite low, but you can spend all 4 of your actions in a given turn simply attacking and hoping to land the RNG, if you will. Now, a very specific area I think this game could improve in, though, is adding some sort of visible awareness meter to some of the zombies and whether or not they're actively looking for you, as at least when you start a mission, all of the zombies aren't necessarily honed in on you right away. Some of them are simply meandering around, as you might expect, and it can be difficult to parse exactly when and where each individual zombie might suddenly start actively going for you. And I think something visible to help with that clarity would be useful for the game overall. Though, speaking of zombies, there do appear to be quite a few different types of them, some of which you would certainly expect, such as your basic slow ones, but also there's faster ones that can cover more distance with their movement points. And then your lumbering heavy types, alongside some that seem to be toxic in nature, which is something I encountered on the farm area. And those bigger or more special enemies tend to take more than one hit to bring down, because while you do have a pretty low chance to hit in this demo, each of your attacks effectively does 1 health point of damage to the enemy or 1 section of its health bar. So it's not really about maximizing damage necessarily so much as simply getting the right number of hits in on an individual zombie in order to simply get it out of your way, because as you might imagine, them being up close to you is a problem, and once they start hitting you and your panic starts to rise, you can potentially find yourself in a bad spot pretty quick. Now that said, these heroes of ours aren't set in stone by any means. When you finish a mission, you will gain a bunch of experience, and I will say, at least in this demo, characters that happen to die in a mission just kind of rejoined me on the next mission, so I'm not sure if that's demo specific or will carry over to the full game, but in any event, when you finish the mission, these characters gain experience and a few different perk points that they can, of course, assign to individual perks that can give them certain benefits to things like scavenging or evading all of the zombies out there, because as you'll remember, killing all of them is not the name of the game. Rather, surviving and completing your objective on the level is what matters the most. And while many of these perks are in fact the same across characters, each character does have a unique one that leans into a little bit more of what they're all about, as you might imagine. But as it stands, I would say that's just about everything to currently say about Dead Season, an interesting TRPG that I think is trying to do something a little bit different, which I'm all for, frankly. As a guy who plays a lot of TRPGs, I think anytime one of them tries to mix up the formula a bit, that's worth paying attention to, which is why I wanted to bring this video to your attention. So again, if you want to take a look at this for yourself, the demo should be available, I believe, right as this video goes live, if not, maybe a little later. But whether you simply watched the video or wound up checking out the game for yourself, I'd love to hear what you think about it down in the comments section below, which of course means to like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz. But my impressions from this demo are simply that if they can clean a few things up, maybe add a small quality of life feature here and there, I think Dead Season could be a really interesting little game as long as the price is right. And given that it is set to be releasing sometime in 2024 without a release date, we shouldn't have to wait too much longer to see what happens with this one, which is where we're going to wrap this up. So I certainly hope you enjoyed all that, but regardless of any of it, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.